Joining us now on tariffs, the tension between the U.S. and China. Retired Air Force Brigadier General Robert Spalding is a veteran of 3 administrations in roles at the Pentagon and the National Security Council. He's now the CEO of tech security firm Force Brig. Good morning to you. Help us understand where you think this all goes. We have a 90-day reprieve for tariffs on a lot of the other countries, or at least some of the elevated tariffs. China, obviously, those tariffs staying exactly where they are. Does this put us in a better negotiating position now? Where does this go from here?
Well, I don't think the Chinese are going to negotiate. They see this pressure. They're going to fight it. And I think what we have to prepare ourselves, and particularly the companies that source their goods or subcomponents from China, are going to have to figure out alternatives, because this is just going to increase. And I think it's going to force an actual decoupling that we've been talking about for several years now.
When you game this out, though, one of the question marks is, do you imagine that the U.S. is going to take this 90-day period to try to make deals either bilaterally or collectively with places like Canada and Mexico and the EU and India and other places, and therefore will have more leverage ultimately over China? Or do you think that China is going to take this time to start making its own deals with some of these other countries?
I do. I think the administration is going to take advantage of this to negotiate. Of course, they have to look at the non-tariff barriers in addition to the tariff barriers. And of course, China is going to try to use it. But really, I think what they're going to try to do is use these other countries as places to transship goods to get around tariffs like they've done before. So I don't think they're going to change their behavior. They're going to change their tactics in terms of how they try to get around the tariffs. But I think they realize that the decoupling is going to happen. Back in the first Trump administration, they began that when they tore up, if you remember, the trade agreement between Lighthizer and Liu He. And so I think this is something they've been expecting to happen. The thing that I would be concerned about now is how does it affect Taiwan, and therefore the chips and the other subcomponents, particularly microelectronics that come from that part of the world.
What does a quote-unquote win look like for President Trump in this context? Meaning, what do you think that Trump needs to get where he can declare a win, and potentially so that President Xi can declare a win or save face in some way? And let me throw into the mix, to make it even more complicated, the chess piece that is TikTok and how you think that may play in all of this.
Well, I think TikTok's more of a sideline. I think a win for the president is doing exactly what he said, is bringing back manufacturing. As we as a company look at the subcomponents and especially the talent, in telecom, your talent is typically coming from China or India these days. So I think a win for the president is reestablishing some of these capabilities, both in terms of talent and technology in the country. So manufacturing coming back. This is not a short-term win that you're going to see. It's going to evolve over the next 4 years.
But so that's the last question then, which is maybe this game of chicken that's happening. If you're a CEO and watching us speak about this right now, do you say to yourself, I'm going to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.? Do you say, let me watch this whole thing play out? There's no reason to make a decision quickly because who knows where this goes? I mean, those are sort of the really big questions as to what China does, but also what the business community does.
Well, I think the companies that are going to be advantaged are the ones that had already started and anticipated what was going to happen, have already started looking for those alternatives or maybe moving their manufacturing. For others, I think it's going to be a tough, going in the next couple of years as they reset, because quite frankly, I don't think we're going to get to some kind of post-normal where China is going to figure heavily in our manufacturing going forward. So, I think it's high time they got prepared to shift things. And if they're not, again, it's going to be tough for them for the next couple of years.